Coming up on BCN today, Prime Minister Trudeau is promising a $1 billion package of measures to provide assistance to provincial healthcare systems in dealing with the coronavirus outbreak. As Lethbridge West continues to grow, work has now started on the city's new fire station number 5. And the price of gas could be dropping by an extra 8 cents a litre. We'll chat with Dan McTighe from Canadians for Affordable Energy to find out why.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Paul Arthur.
Hello and thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced a $1 billion aid package of measures designed to help provincial healthcare systems deal with the new coronavirus outbreak. There's also help for workers who are forced to isolate themselves. People who are off work due to illness will be able to access employment insurance benefits right away instead of waiting for a week.
Our government will be creating a $1 billion COVID-19 response fund, which will provide money to the provinces and territories to deal with preparation and mitigation for the virus. I want all premiers and all Canadians to know our government is here for you. We will make sure you have everything you need. The fund will provide $200 million to support the ongoing federal response to the virus, including more money for things like surgical masks and face shields, increased capacity for services to Indigenous people and other federal healthcare responsibilities, and for continued public education efforts to Canadians. It will also invest $275 million in additional funding for research and medical countermeasures, including vaccine development and support for clinical trials. On the economic front, our government understands the disruptive impact the virus is having on businesses and workers. That's why we will waive the mandatory 1-week waiting period for employment insurance to kick in. We're also introducing, among other things, special measures under the work sharing program to help employers who fall on hard times due to COVID-19. Let me be clear. No one should have to worry about their job if they have to be quarantined. No employer should feel like they have to lay off a worker because of the virus.
Trudeau says the government is already preparing to do more if the situation worsens. Meanwhile, COVID-19 continues to have a roller coaster effect on North American stock markets. The Toronto market fell more than 300 points in early trading. In New York, the Dow Industrials tumbled about 800 points. European stock markets edged higher as several governments announced aid measures for economies hit hard by the coronavirus outbreak. And the global death toll from the coronavirus is now over 4,200. More than 118,000 people have been infected. Our foreign affairs expert Lisa Daftari says when it comes to coronavirus, we are really in uncharted waters.
We don't know enough about this virus. It's so new. It's uncharted territory. And because these numbers keep rising the way that they are, because you see places in Italy, the entire cities shut down, in Wuhan, China, of course, where this originated, it's shutting down. When you see these cases rising in more states in the United States getting the virus and finding cases of the virus, we've said this before, for as long as airplanes are flying and cruise ships are docking, there will be a spread of this virus from place to place.
The World Health Organization is now reporting that over 100 countries are infected with COVID-19. Lisa will have more details, including which big events are being canceled around the world because of the virus. That's coming up in the second half of the program. And with the coronavirus coming to Alberta, local businesses are doing their part to ensure that they keep their members and customers safe. The YMCA is stepping up their game to ensure that people are educated about precautions to take to combat the virus.
The biggest thing we tell people is self-regulate, right? Wash your hands. Consistently wash your hands. Then we also say things, if you're feeling ill, maybe not work out today. We have options to give you workouts that you can do at home. If you're feeling sick and you're concerned, self-quarantine, self-regulate, use some common sense. And this is a facility that will have 45 to 60,000 people through in a month. So if you have concerns about being around a place that has had that many people through it, you take the preventative measures, to make sure that things are taken care of. And, we'll continue to maintain the facility and make it as clean and as operating as possible.
You can visit the Cor Van Ray YMCA website for more details on how to best protect yourself. An exciting new project is underway in the city's west side that will enhance safety as the community continues to grow. Work has now started on the city's newest capital project, Fire Station Number 5, located in the Watermark neighborhood in West Lethbridge.
Now, I guess on the west side of Lethbridge, we're nearing 40,000 people, so it's time for us to see an additional fire hall. This fire hall that you see behind us will house 4 to 5 staff 24/7, so at any time we'll have 4 or 5 people working out of this fire station. And they'll be responding to fire calls and EMS events throughout, certainly West Lethbridge, but throughout the city of Lethbridge. The fire hall, as you can see, and you'll probably see as we go outside later, is a purposeful built fire hall with firefighter safety in mind. When I talk about firefighter safety, what we know is firefighting is a very dangerous occupation, and cancer is a real concern for our firefighters. So as we designed this fire hall and we built it with that in mind to try to help protect our firefighters.
The facility is expected to be completed by next year. It will include 3 drive-through apparatus bays, living quarters, administrative and support services, along with areas for firefighter training. Total cost of the project is $10.3 million. Lethbridge City Council says it wants to become more aggressive in tackling greenhouse gas emissions. Originally, at a Community Issues Committee meeting, Council was told that meeting a reduction of 35% of 2018 levels by the year 2030 was easily achievable. City Councillor Jeffrey Kaufman proposed an amendment Monday, which would lower the levels by 55% over the next 10 years. It passed by an 8-1 motion. Councillor Blaine Higgin was the only member of Council to vote against it. Lethbridge police are seeking the public's assistance to locate a missing 14-year-old girl. Lenny Charisse Brave Rock was last seen in Galt Gardens on March 7th. Attempts to locate her have been unsuccessful, and police are concerned for her well-being. Anyone who has seen Brave Rock or has information on her whereabouts is asked to contact police. Folks in the hamlet of Swalwell, northeast of Calgary, were forced from their homes yesterday after a CN freight train collided with a tanker truck carrying propane. CN says there were no injuries or a fire after propane spilled from the tanks the truck was hauling. Kneehill County declared a state of local emergency for the hamlet, with 100 residents being evacuated. CN says the train did not derail and no goods from the rail cars spilled. An Alberta pilot program meant to help some of the toughest to treat opioid users will end in 1 year. The Injectable Opioid Agonist Treatment Grant, which was announced under the former NDP government, was supposed to end this month. The UCP government extended funding for the program until March 31st of 2021 to allow patients to transition to other forms of treatment. A spokesperson for Associate Health Minister Jason Lewan says it was always meant to be a pilot. The Alberta government says it will reduce operating hours at 14 museums and heritage sites as part of its budget cuts. The changes will affect popular attractions such as Drumheller's Royal Tyrrell Museum, Edmonton's Royal Alberta Museum, the Reynolds Alberta Museum in Wetaskiwin, and also some Southern Alberta attractions: World Heritage Site Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, the Frank Slide Interpretive Centre, and the Remington Carriage Museum in Cardston. The government is also cutting contract jobs at some of these facilities. The energy sector is still reeling from the huge drop in the price of oil. West Texas Intermediate is now below $35 per barrel. Hal Roberts recently chatted with Dan McTague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, asking to what degree will the oil slide translate into savings at the pump?
Well, the latest round caused by disturbance in the Middle East with respect to Saudi Arabia and Russia going at it head-to-head with Saudi Arabia pledging to flood the market, drop oil prices, amounts to a net savings of, or at least a drop of 8 cents a liter, which we should be getting here at the pumps over the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, I know that the prices here in Lethbridge tend to be a little sticky, but there are price decreases that we've seen in the order of 10 to 12 cents a liter wholesale that began in earnest almost 2 weeks ago, with the ongoing concern about coronavirus and the drop in demand that it's causing globally, drop in demand, of course, for oil and other products, petrochemical products.
Now, do you think we'll ever see 60 or even 50 cents a liter again?
I don't think so. This is probably for now as far as it's going to go. Gas stations are going to be told in the next few hours that the bottom line price taxes in for them for our market here in Bridge City will be about 78 cents a liter. So they have to add 4 or 5 or 6 cents a liter to cover their costs. So we could see gas stations offering for as little as 85, 84 cents a liter perhaps not like Calgary and other places where there tends to be really cutthroat competition, but this is probably as good as it gets, Hal.
What does this all mean for Canada's oil and gas industry?
An absolute body blow, as if blockades and shenanigans in terms of blocking pipelines weren't enough to send investors to the purchase or to the sell wickets, as we've seen just last week when Warren Buffett decides he's going to pull out from Canada. It's sending a signal, I think, to the rest of the world, as if that weren't enough. Coronavirus and its destruction of demand, and then this little battle, this tiff, this hissy fit by Saudi Arabia and Russia for not going along with oil production cuts really does not bode well for Canada's energy sector. I say Canada, we know it's here in Alberta, but it's the entire country that really has to bear the brunt of less revenue and less exports. It is our number one export, that is to say oil and gas. And even for us in Eastern Canada, we can't deny the fact that it's driven the value of the Canadian dollar down by almost 4 cents just in the past week alone.
Dan McTagg, President of Canadians for Affordable Energy, thanks for your time today.
Good to be here, Hal. Thanks for having me.
Federal cabinet ministers are facing pointed questions about why elected band chiefs and women of the Wet'suwet'en Nation who supported a disputed natural gas pipeline in British Columbia were not part of meetings with federal and provincial cabinet ministers aimed at de-escalating tensions. Conservative MPs pressed Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Carolyn Bennett and Indigenous Services Minister Mark Miller on how band council chiefs who had signed deals for a project they believed would benefit their communities felt shut out of the talks.
The hereditary chiefs feel that they have the support of the protesters and that the protesters agree with them. It's not about the protesters agreeing with them. It's about our people getting a resource and a benefit from our land in which we went to court for. And the protesters have actually hijacked our processes, and they have left women out and the community out of the discussion. I am not hopeful that it will be resolved. Nothing has really changed within our nation. The government has legitimized the meeting with the 5 hereditary chiefs and left out the entire community. We have not had a chance in the community to iron out and to work out where we want to be and where we want to go.
What I would point people to is the decision in Delgamuukw in 1997. Clearly the court established a path forward to engage with hereditary systems, including the Wet'suwet'en. The hereditary leadership themselves acknowledged it had to go back to the people, because fundamentally, whether you're talking about elected band council or whether you're talking about hereditary systems, they all are based on support and ratification from the people. So part and parcel of answering that question is acknowledging that this MOU has to go through a process where it is discussed, ratified, consensus-based process throughout a time period that when the Wet'suwet'en are done, they'll inform us, and at that point, Ministers Fraser and Bennett will go up and sign it.
We have said from the beginning, these decisions will be taken in the Wet'suwet'en Nation, by the Wet'suwet'en people in their way, and that means in their houses and their clans, that they will take this decision as a nation. It isn't about the province of British Columbia or Canada. This is a nation decision as to whether what has been a proposed arrangement for how we would work forward on the implementation of their rights and title, whether that is agreeable to the nation.
South of the border, the dust is settling on what's known as Mini Super Tuesday in the U.S. There were Democratic presidential primaries yesterday in several states. Bernie Sanders won North Dakota, while Joe Biden won Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, and Idaho. Both Biden and Sanders canceled rallies last night due to COVID-19, and the Democratic National Committee says Sunday's debate in Arizona will not have a live audience. The case of Ohio's Down syndrome abortion ban opens today in a federal court in Cincinnati. It is seen as a pivotal case in the debate over the procedure. The Ohio law prohibits physicians from performing an abortion if they're aware that a diagnosis of Down syndrome or the possibility is influencing their decision. This and similar proposals in the U.S. have triggered an emotional debate over women's rights, parental love, and the trust between doctor and patient. Well, don't put away the shovels just yet. We do have some cold and snowy days coming our way. I'll have the forecast coming up right after this short break. And taking a look at the forecast, there's a 60% chance of rain showers or flurries this afternoon, and we should get up to a high of +5. Mainly cloudy overnight with a low of -5. For tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud with a 40% chance of flurries in the morning and a high of +2. Then going into the weekend, the mercury starts to drop with snow and a high of -11 on Friday. More snow on Saturday and a high of only -18. We get back to sunshine on Sunday, but still cold with a high of -17. Monday it starts to warm up, sunshine and -4. Then on Tuesday we get back to the plus side with a high of 2 degrees under sunny skies. Checking the almanac, the average high for this time of year is 5 degrees with an average low of -7. Highest temperature in the state recorded back in 2005 at 21 degrees, a record low -36 in 1951. Sunrise was at 7:53 and sunset at 7:30. And let's take a look at how things are shaping up weather-wise across the country now. A great day shaping up in Victoria. Sunshine and 12 degrees, and in Vancouver a few clouds and 9. In Calgary some flurries and +3, while Edmonton will get up to +4 with partly cloudy skies. In Saskatchewan a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 8 for Regina, and 3 degrees with a few clouds in Saskatoon. For Winnipeg today, a 30% chance of flurries and +3, and in Toronto mainly cloudy with a high of 3, partly cloudy in Ottawa and a high of +1, and similar conditions in Montreal, a few clouds and 2 degrees. In the Maritimes, mainly cloudy for Fredericton with a high of 1, periods of rain or drizzle and +5 in Halifax. For Charlottetown, a few flurries and 0, and in St. John's, drizzle with a high of 5 degrees.
Here's your Bridge City News Community Calendar. If you love the game of golf, here's an amazing opportunity to be part of the Lethbridge Paradise Canyon Open, taking place June 25th to the 28th. The LPCO is looking for hardworking and dedicated volunteers to help make this event a success. A volunteer recruitment night is being held on Wednesday, March 18th at the Paradise Canyon Golf Resort from 5 to 7 p.m. For more information, call 403-331-8885 or email yoshida.kf@telus.net. The Canadian Christian Business Federation is launching a Lethbridge chapter, and they invite leaders from all walks of life to a networking breakfast and presentation on Tuesday, March 24th, beginning at 7:15 a.m. at Smitty's on Mayor McGrath Drive South. Hear from guest speaker, CCBF Executive Director Keith Knight. To confirm your attendance, email tony.ccbf@gmail.com. Men, young and old alike are invited to come join the Lethbridge Christian Men's Choir. Practices are held every Thursday from 7:30 to 9 p.m. at Trinity Reformed Church. The choir practices are in preparation for spring concerts, as well as occasional performances at the hospital and seniors' homes. For more information, call 403-328-7985. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
In war-ravaged Libya, an American cardiac surgeon hopes his mission to mend children's hearts can help build a bridge between the fighting factions.
I think that you can create a sort of medical diplomacy between the two sides of the country, utilizing the children with heart disease as the issue to bring them together. We should be leaving behind independent, sustainable operating teams and care teams, and that's what we're trying to do. There is a certain perception of America around the world, and that perception in a number of the places that we travel to is not a very good perception. But guess what? the people of the United States are not necessarily the government of the United States, and that we're individuals who can bridge the gap and bring cultures together.
British rock band Genesis have confirmed they are reforming for a 2020 tour, their first in 13 years. The trio is planning on performing in the UK and will be joined by Colin's 18-year-old son, Nicholas, on drums.
Well, I think for all us, you get back into it. I mean, initially, sometimes there's a few bits and pieces you can't quite remember, and then slowly it comes. And yeah, I mean, it's sort of in your brain there somewhere, I think. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. Sometimes it's quite buried quite deep, but it comes back out again. And just as soon as you put your hands over things, it sort of works, really.
A bit like Tommy Cooper.
Yeah, just like that. No, it's...
Excuse me.
I mean, you know, obviously, it's... With all of us. I mean, Nick was a sort of obviously a new element when we were doing the rehearsals. That's Phil's son who's on the drums. But he was fantastic and very quick and got there quicker than any of us, really.
Yeah, I've got to try to teach myself how to play again, or I've got to learn how to hold the sticks and play in time. Apart from that, there's no problem. But yeah, I'll be trying to play a bit, you know, but I won't be the man I was. But fortunately, Nick is the man I was, so I'll be his dad and frown occasionally.
Well, it's a nice new energy, definitely, and I think people often say, you know, because Phil's not drumming, so his son is. In Genesis, Phil mainly sang, you know what I mean, and Chester drum, but I think, so suddenly, Chester was wonderful for 30, 40 years. You've got this new energy, a new way of playing Nick, who's more like his dad, so in a way the songs have gone back to sounding more like the record, so they kind of sound different anyway, which is for us is a nice whole new thing going on, actually. Some of the songs have really changed quite a bit in a great way.
Founding member Peter Gabriel, who left the band in 1975, will not take part in the tour. Being a caregiver can be a tough job, and a local woman from Staveley knows that firsthand. As Micah Quinn explains, she has to make the tough financial decisions that come with being a caretaker for her mother, who has dementia.
Let's go. Just take it easy, Mama.
Anne Bunch is a full-time caregiver to her 80-year-old mother, Shirley. She's struggling with the finances of having to take care of her mother and is hoping the government can provide more help with caregiver benefits.
The compassionate care benefit I have already had, and it's been exhausted. So now I've applied for the family benefit, and it hasn't started yet. They've approved me, but it hasn't started yet.
Bunch has a lot of work to do as a caregiver.
She's got dementia, and it's progressing, and I just do whatever she needs me to do.
As of now, she doesn't want to bring her mom to a home and thinks it might be a burden on the system.
If my mom ever gets to the point where I can't look after her, she will have to go into a home. But I don't want that to ever happen if I can help it.
Together they share a special bond.
As a caregiver, I'm keeping my mom at home and not putting her in care, so there's less burden there on the system, right? So why wouldn't the government help us do that instead of putting them in care and putting that burden on the government? Easy, aren't you?
Yeah.
She's my mom and I love her and I'll do what I have to do for her.
Bridge City News got in contact with Bunch's local MLA, Roger Reed, and the two parties are now in contact. For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
The global death toll from the coronavirus is now over 4,200 and more than 118,000 people have been infected. Our foreign affairs expert Lisa Daftari discusses this and more with Hal Roberts. That interview is coming up shortly, right after the break.